Welcome to another weekly featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, James Moffat, where he will gracefully take our featured guest on a personal and business journey and stories that will inspire, educate, and engage you.
Hello and welcome to another Friday Featured Business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, myself, James Moffat. Today we have our 139th guest, 𝗙𝗘𝗏𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗘𝗗.
𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗧, yes.
Oh, excellent. Okay, great. I'm terrible with names, so I just wanted to make sure I had that right. So you are 139th guest, so welcome. And
thank you,
sometimes
James.
we have a guest singer and to kick the show off. But today, our guest singer is actually our guest. So, Francois, you're going to sing for us today. So if you could introduce yourself and introduce the song that you're going to sing, and then it's over to you.
Thank you, James. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure for me. My name's 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗘𝗗. I was born in Belgium. My mother tongue is French, and I think I consider myself as a modern nomad, as I've been living abroad for quite a number of years, mostly in Africa, in Egypt, Morocco, Nigeria twice, and I currently live in Luxembourg. I've been living in Luxembourg for 5 years. I'm married. I've got 3 children, 3 grown-up children, and as a career, for my work, I guide women to find their true selves living abroad. So I help women to find their place when they live and work abroad, and to gain confidence and build confidence around them and even thrive. And I inspire them to develop their potential as a woman, as a professional. And I think lighting up their way so they can discover their true life mission. I think this is, but I also support expatriates, managers, to adjust fast and to communicate the most efficient in an efficient way in an international environment.
Excellent. So I'm going to take you on a journey from your childhood to where you are now and go into more detail about what you're doing. But before we get there, if you are okay to give us a song.
Yes. So just to say, I'm a member of an international choir here in Luxembourg. This was a real adventure for me, new, because I had no experience in singing before. So this is a song coming from Haiti in Creole language, and the words are quite simple. That's a mother. During the slave period, her child is sick, and she hopes that she will find a good doctor. And if the good doctor is good, he will save, or she will save her child.
Wow.
Can you hear me?
I can't, yes.
Yes?
It disappears for a split second.
Okay, I'll try to then not to move. Sauve la vie moine, la misère moigne. Sauve la vie moine, la misère moigne. 𝗙𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗘𝗗𝗏, similo.
Sorry, just one second. Yeah, it comes and goes. So I hear it and then I see your mouth moving, but nothing coming out.
Oh, bad luck.
So,
do you want me to start again?
Maybe. I don't know if you need to be closer to your microphone or something.
Yes, maybe like here. I'll try, and if it does not work, I don't know.
If it doesn't work, you can record it and send it to me.
Yes. Okay. Let's do. We try another time. Okay. Just do like this if you don't understand. So I'll stop.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Frérot, sauvez la vie moine, la misère moigne. Frérot, sauvez la vie moine, la misère moigne. 𝗚𝗨𝗘𝗗𝗏 similo. No, I'm sorry.
It comes and goes again. And
bad luck.
It's quite, but it's not the first time this has happened to other guests as well. And they've really sang some beautiful emotional songs, and you can't hear it.
Oh, okay. So you will be able to remove this part. I'm sorry.
I can remove this part. But if you want to record it on your phone or something,
yes,
then I can add it in.
Oh, yes, if you can. Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you need? MP4? MP3?
Yeah, MP4. And then I can then just add it, cut it, and add it in, either at the beginning or at the end.
Okay. I'll do it. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I think it's the kind of the latency, and also with the Zoom recording and the microphones being sensitive, they don't always, because you're changing the tone of your voice there.
Yes, I did not think about that, as I have a micro as I'm using too. So if I hadn't thought about it, I would have put it here. Maybe
that's why I've got this microphone.
Yes, I understand. It's okay. Okay, I'll send you the recording. I'll do it after.
Okay, but don't worry, I can edit things in and out. Okay. Right, so let me just take you on a journey then, from your childhood to where you are now. So you mentioned that you were born in Belgium.
Yes.
Right. Did you live in many different places in Belgium?
No, actually, Dad built his house. He built his house. He started before knowing my mom. A land he inherited from his own dad. And so Dad was a man who settled in a place for his lifetime. And so I lived all my childhood and teenage time until my university studies. I stayed there.
Okay. And you have any siblings?
Yes, I've got a younger brother, 2 years and a half younger than me.
All right.
But he lives in Belgium.
Okay. So growing up as a kid, let's just find out a bit about your hobbies or interests. So what did you like?
I love nature, so I liked and I still like hiking. We discovered a lot of forest and different beautiful regions in the Ardennes, in the southern part of Belgium, but also in the northern part. We visited museums, exhibitions. My mom really was keen on opening our mind to art and to life, to history. Then swimming. I took part to some competitions swimming competitions when I was at primary school. Then biking, definitely, though it was ups and downs. It was quite hilly. I was a member of the Scouts. And for 12 years, I was what we call a guide. And it was really a fun moment. I made good friends over there, friends I knew from the primary school. We met on Sunday. And we had the summer camps, which was great too. And then I took spoken arts at the conservatoire. And so this was called diction. So learn to pronounce properly words and to declamate, to speak a text, poetry or prose. This was good. Well, very interesting. Actually, I choose this at first a bit not by chance, but I didn't like the music teacher, the music theory teacher. And so I said, okay, I would not see myself in dancing lessons, so I'll take spoken arts. And it came out that I felt quite good speaking in front of an audience. And I did it for 12 years too, until my university studies. I took 2 more years after when I started my career, but it was in Brussels then.
Oh, so you're quite young then when you first ventured on the stage?
Yes. It was during a fairs my school organized, and they organized a play. And I had a part in this play, or in between 2 acts, I had to speak a text, but I did not like that text. But the teacher said, you would be good and you take lessons, so take this text. And I learned it by heart. And memorization it was okay. But on the stage, I still see I was about 8 years old, and it was quite a shock for me. I could see people looking at me. It was dark, just light on me. And suddenly I could not find my word, and a blank. And so you could hear a fly in the room. So I was so stressed, and behind the curtains, the teacher spread the words, so I could whisper the words, so I could hear and continue and catch up. But I was so stressed that I could not. So in the end, 1 minute is very long when you can't say a word, and silence makes time much longer than it actually is. And she said, come back behind the curtain. And I felt so ashamed, like a failure. And Mom said, you won't stay on this failure. It's not a failure, it's a lesson. And so come back home, learn the text and rehearse the text that you love, and you'll be fine. They will find a spot in the middle of different acts, and you'll be able to showcase that you are able to speak your text properly. And it was the case. I felt confident, and I remember people applause. It was so vivid, so vibrant. A great memory, a great lesson, life lesson, actually. Don't stay on your failure. That's more a lesson. But if I hadn't had my mom to support me on that day, probably, at 8 years old, I would not have considered, and no teacher made this suggestion neither. So just an example.
No, that's an excellent example, because, I have 3 kids, and you've got to support them. And life is a lesson. We're learning all the time. And when things don't go quite according to plan, although we call it a failure, it's not a failure. It's like what you said, it's a lesson we're learning. And we just didn't learn what we were supposed to learn at that right time. It doesn't mean that we can't do it. And if you got the support and the guidance of people that are willing to help, then you go on to bigger and better things. It's when you're feeling that moment, like on the stage, and everything is silent, and you're thinking, I can't remember my words. And I've had it. Many business coaches and public speakers have had it. And in front of big audiences, they've just completely forgotten what they're saying. And you bounce back from that. And as long as you look at it as a learning, then you can move on. It's when you're ridiculed for it and everyone puts you down from it, then you feel, well, I'm not going to do it anymore. And then you feel very deflated. And you're lucky that you had the support from your mum.
Yes, I was lucky. I think that's the beginning of resilience, learning to become resilient. But it's not that obvious. You need to learn this mindset.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is, but it's a great lesson, because many people have fear of like public speaking or being on the stage. I mean, at school, I didn't want to be in the drama class because I didn't want to speak in front of people on the stage. Although inside me, I wanted to do it. I thought, I want to be in the drama class. But then when I see people on stage and they're singing or shouting out words or whatever, no, I can't do that. But I think with the right coaching, you could do that. And you just need someone to hold your hand and help you on that journey. And if I'd done it then, I would have been much more comfortable when I came to do public speaking, because that was a kind of a trial and error. And I had many disasters, but also many magical moments that make it feel worth doing.
Yes, there are different ways of expressing one's voice. Some may feel hard, could be a good way to express what you've got inside. It could be, well, the music, it could be many things, writing, it could be. But at one moment, I think it's very important for a person to be able to express oneself openly, or the way you keep everything inside, and the outside world needs to hear your voice at one point.
Completely agree. That's the reason why I do this show as well, because I want people's voices heard. And you don't have to be anyone, you don't have to think that you have to be someone special. You are already someone special. And people think, well, why would you want to hear my story? I want to hear every story. If you're happy to share it, I'm happy to listen.
That's what I'm teaching in my cross-cultural trainings. We are unique beings. There are different cultures and there are cultural differences, but we are all unique. And
Absolutely.
this is quite as an exception if we continue the
I mean, we are all unique, but we all share common traits as well. I mean,
definitely.
And these are the things that we can help one another with. And some people, I mean, particularly when it comes to emotional challenges, I mean, some people fear things that other people think, well, there's nothing to fear. It just means that they're at a different level in mindset. But you can help one another, and that's the whole reason for being here, to help each other. So anyway, let's carry on the journey. So you, as a kid, I mean, you mentioned you like nature and the outdoors and stuff like that. I mean, funny enough, that all my guests say the same. We are creatures of nature. We love the nature, and we want to connect more with it. And I think that's kind of the common theme throughout.
I think as a child, I discovered nature, and we had walks with my parents, 5, 10, 15, 20 kilometers. And we got we completed, there were stamps in a book. And then in the end, there was some sort of merit. And when the book was fully stamped, we sent it back to the federation, to the Belgian Federation, Sport Belgian Federation, and we got a medal. I'm not sure they're still organizing this system, but it was quite, I did not walk because of this, but it was quite funny. It was rewarding. And, but nature was for me a way to be with my parents. This was an outdoor activity, but I think I connected with nature much deeper, much later in my life. But you need to become more self-aware and to develop another relationship with nature. And this, it came with growing older, as I'm concerned.
No, I think so too. I think that I appreciate, although I loved nature when I was younger, I think I appreciate it more now because I understand nature better. And I think as we mature, we see it in a different way. I mean, kids like to see the fun and playing around in nature. I'm looking for other things. I'm looking for the ambience, the smell, the everything about it.
Exactly.
So anyway, you are quite sporty because you mentioned swimming and being in the Scouts and doing all this walking and stuff and biking. So you also mentioned ping pong.
Yes, my parents bought a ping pong table, and it was in the cellar, and very regularly, especially when I was a teenager. It was a bit later. I was in the secondary school. I remember I invited friends, and we had ping pong matches down in the cellar. And even with my parents, a bit of badminton in summertime too. So it was a great fun. It was, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I love that because,
Do you?
yeah, I mean, I was a badminton player as well as other sports. I mean, I love football and badminton, horse riding, and many different things. But my eldest son, who's 10 now, he's into badminton, and well, he plays football as well. But he likes to be the goalie, right? Because he's lazy. I mean, he can run.
Oh, you could run and
he's very fast runner.
Yes, these are different skills, actually.
But he likes to be the goalie, which he's very good at anyway. But we just started playing ping pong, right? Because we have a table in the community where we live, and an outside one. So it has to be quite a calm day, which it usually is quite calm. So we're out there playing ping pong, and I thought I was pretty good. So I'm showing him how to play, but he caught up so quick. Within a week, he's already matched my level. And now he's shown me shots that I just can't get. He's amazing. So
we are learning from our children.
Yeah.
Yes, that's quite amazing. It's no longer the time to consider, as parents, we transmit and our children like a copy and paste. This mentality is completely over. I think we cross-learn, and
it's true. We learn. I was speaking to someone yesterday, funny enough, and we were talking about this subject came up. That I mean, I found. Through business, I found a mentor, and I'm the mentee. But then the mentee can become the mentor to the mentor. And so how is that possible? And I said, because you get to a certain level of what they've taught you, then you look at how you can improve that. And then you present it back to them, and now you're teaching them something.
Yes.
So, but also with children, I mean, I look at my kids and I say, where'd you get your business ideas and things from, and the way that you address people in meetings and whatever, particularly storytelling, right? I say from my kids, right? Because when I'm doing something with the kids, I mean, particularly when it comes to storytelling, they absolutely love it. I mean, and we have it so it's bi-directional, so it's interactive storytelling. And bedtime stories and stuff, but their stories. And because they're part of it and they're enjoying it, then they want to contribute. And then they want to hear them because they want to be, they want bedtime to come because they want to be doing storytelling. And then I take that because everybody in business, like we all talk about storytelling for business, but that's kind of cliche and an overused word. You need to learn from the kids how you really engage with people with storytelling, because if you can capture what a kid experiences and you're doing that to a client or a customer or a potential customer, then it's magical. So storytelling is one thing, adding the magic to it is something completely different. And that's what I get from the kids.
We could almost be again like a child and marvel at listening to a story. Most people enjoy listening to stories.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I love it so much I created this show, but I mean, it has to be both. I mean, it has to be mutual and bidirectional. I mean, I don't want me to talk all the time, and I don't want the opportunity not to be able to talk. So, but I want to hear your story at the same time. So you need to have active listening, but you also need to be quiet at the right time and then ask the right questions.
I just need to interrupt you because I see my son has no key and he's knocking at the door. I'm alone.
All right, okay. All right.
Just a second. I'm quick. Okay.
All right. Yeah, no problem. Right. Yeah. So we learn a lot from our kids, and yeah, you can definitely apply that into your business.
Certainly.
So let's just move along a bit. So yeah, I just want to. We will get back to what you started with, talking about what you're doing now, but I want the story on how that all started. So you went on an exchange program. Or was it an expatriates thing where you went?
Yes.
So tell me that story.
Actually, really nothing in my childhood and my teenage time brought me to live abroad, because my parents enjoyed traveling, but in the neighboring countries and not for long. But since I started learning English at the age of 14 years old, I knew that something changed in me. I knew that it was the beginning for something else, for opening a door to a new adventure. I would be able to understand the English songs I could hear on the radio, and I knew I wanted to travel in my life. I did not know exactly what, but I understood there that I wanted to study languages. I did not have a clearer plan of career in mind so far. At the age of 17, 18, I wanted to become a tourist guide. So I imagined myself in a bus, explaining the city, doing sightseeing tours with tourists, with a micro. So I had a bit dream vision of me explaining cities, traveling around with tourists. And that's why I started learning languages. But then I realized that, okay, I'd like to get married, to have children. Maybe that's not an easy life. And then my studies went on. I did a master's in languages, in English and Dutch, which is called Germanic philology, studying more the grammar, vocabulary, the origin of texts, and more literature. And the main purpose of these studies is to become a teacher in the high school, a high school teacher. And but I didn't want to become a high school teacher. I was afraid of getting bored, and I was afraid of monotony, and I'm out of a routine person. So, and then I did a master's in management, and then I started my career in the corporate world. And then I always said to myself, if I'm not married at the age of 30, then I take my backpack and I travel around. But I met my husband before the age of 30 and we traveled around. So, and it was, we lived abroad because of his career. He had missions abroad with international organizations. And And so that's how it started. First Nigeria for a few months, for me at least. And then we came back, we got married. And then 6 months later, we moved to Egypt, where we lived almost 4 years. Then our first child was born. And then we came back for 10 years in Belgium. Then we left for Morocco for 3 more years. Then we came back for 3 years in Belgium. Then we moved again to Nigeria for 3 more years. And then we arrived in Luxembourg in 2018. Wow. And between Egypt and Morocco, our 2 other children were born in Belgium.
Wow.
So this is a bit the story. Well, right. This is really very grossly explained.
I've just got someone trying to come in on the Zoom. So let me just check who it is. We can cut this bit out.
Yes, sure.
Unless it's someone you know.
No.
Oh, it's someone that I know from previous recordings.
Hello, James. Hi, Francois.
Hello.
I'm saying that correctly.
Françoise, yes. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too. I'm not sure. Is it just starting or what? Because I thought it was late.
Yeah. Sorry, say that again. Is it not? Is it?
Is it starting or ending? Or...
Oh, no, we're halfway through.
Okay, all right.
Do you want to listen or not?
Yes, I can listen on. It kind of slipped my mind. I should have put it in the calendar.
Can you come on video also?
Okay, I'll come on the video. I wasn't prepared.
You won't be recorded because the way that this is recorded, I'm going to edit this bit out anyway, so don't worry.
Okay.
Is only if you speak, you'll be recorded. So it's in speaker mode. So even though we view ourselves in gallery, if you speak, then you will be recorded. If you don't speak, you won't be recorded.
Okay. Let me just.
But it's nice to see you.
All right. I'll switch on my video now. Just one moment.
But Francois, if you want to ask a question, or Tariera, if you've got a question that you want to ask, then feel free as we go through. Right. Don't worry about the recording. I'll just keep it recording, but I'll edit this bit out. Right. I'm just going to carry on then. Right.
Yes.
So, Francois, so you mentioned all these countries. So you said your husband was on a mission.
Yes, he had missions as an expatriate. So, yes.
Sorry, it was what?
He had missions. Well, he had assignments abroad.
Oh, it's not like Mission Impossible or something.
No, no. Some missions were really challenging. Yes, he had positions as an expatriate abroad. So he was
nothing to do with the church.
No, nothing to do with no international organizations. No.
Sorry, that was the first thing I thought of when you said a mission. Typically, people go on missions with the church.
Oh, okay. No, he had assignments abroad.
All right, okay.
Yes, so.
But what did you do then when you were abroad for all these years?
Many things. Actually, in each country, I found different things to do. Each country offers different opportunities. In Egypt, I was quite isolated for some time. I started in Port Said, close to Mediterranean Sea. And I was completely alone from 7 a.m. up to 8 p.m. because my husband left to work on the site. So he was deputy finance manager for his company. And I had to learn to discover the place on my own. So just for a few weeks, and then we moved to a site close to the desert, in front of the Sinai Desert, just at the end of, at the background, this was the Suez Canal. And well, I studied, I took online, not online because it did not exist at the time, but distant learning. I studied astrology at the time. I made friends once a week. I learned Arabic too, some basic Arabic for me to be able to do my shopping on my own. I also worked in a company selling spices, in an export company specialized in spices, in the spice business. And I worked there for a few months, and that they had an issue to get a work permit for me, so I had to stop the job. And then, well, I read. Then we had our first daughter, so I was quite busy with her. Once a week, I drove to Cairo. Cairo was about minimum 1.5 hours drive from where we lived, and so there I met friends, and my baby at the time was in a kindergarten with English speaking nurses and only one French speaking nurse. And during this time I had free time to enjoy with my friends, do some shopping I could not find in Port Said, which was much smaller. And so this and time went by quite quickly. So this was for Egypt. Actually, in Egypt, I realized that I had a wrong mindset. I suffered from a big bias, cultural bias. I believed that coming from Europe, or at least from a Western country, we were technologically more advanced than the country, than Egypt. And I realized at the time that first I was a foreigner in the country, and if I did not change my mindset, I would stay alone, because these people had things to teach me. I needed to be more modest, to learn from them. They had a very long-lasting and very old civilization, and I had these were personal learnings, and so from there on, I said, what a culture can bring, another can bring something else. And from there on, I really shifted mentally. It helped me a lot. This was a big life learning, very eye-opening. And for instance, I learned Arabic with the secretary of the boss I was working for. And she gave me these private lessons. And so I learned to say complete sentences. For me, for instance, to catch a taxi, to be able to buy chicken and I learned the figures, Arabic figures, with the bus driver.
Wow.
And it was great. It was a great time, a bit tough sometimes, very lonely sometimes too. But it was a learning first that I could be okay if I was not always all the time with people around me, which had never been the case before. And well, it was early couple life, so we had discovered Egypt when we had the weekend, and so. And much later then, when we moved to Morocco, our living and circumstances as expatriates were completely different. We went as a family, so with the 3 children. And so the culture shock was particularly big for 2 of them, for 2 of our children. even for the three, but in different ways. So I had to cope with this situation. And what I did, I launched my business for the first time in Morocco, mainly dealing with supporting managers to adjust to change in life, to find a meaning when they have to undergo substantial change in their life, in their career. And using an assessment tool to support them, to help them to become more aware of themselves. And so this was the beginning of my self-entrepreneur career. And then after 3 years, we moved back to Belgium, and this was a big shock coming back to Belgium. And I also support people when they come back onto their country, because return is sometimes more complicated than moving abroad, because you have changed. You are no longer the same person. You see life from a different perspective. People in your home country, if they have not traveled abroad, well, they have evolved their own way, but maybe not at the same pace as you have. They maybe continue to view life the same way as when you left the country, but it's no longer your case. And sometimes it's hard to find people to share your experience abroad with. And this was on the personal level. On the professional level, I realized that, and another thing important in Morocco, I followed a coaching course with a Moroccan group, and I'm still in touch with them. So we formed a very good group. I was the only foreigner, and I became a certified coach from then on. And coming back,
in Arabic.
No, this was in French.
All right.
This was in French in Casablanca. So I lived 1 year in Rabat and 2 years in Casablanca. And there in Casablanca, I followed this coaching course. And in Belgium, I realized that there were many coaches. Many people say that they are coach. What does it mean to be a coach? And how could I make a difference? This is a competitive world, and I needed to find my niche. And then I realized that probably my international experience could be an asset, could be useful to develop, and I should go into that direction.
Okay. Before we go there, I just want to ask you some questions on some of the countries that you visited or lived in. You mentioned that you studied archaeology.
No, philology.
Philology.
Philology. So
not archaeology.
No, not archaeology. Sorry for the wrong pronunciation. Philology.
So what is that then?
We study. It's based on the study of text, or understanding the origin of the language. It's based on the a study of the grammar, vocabulary, literature, either from different periods, from the different centuries.
Okay.
And so,
in any particular language?
No, I had to select 2 languages. I did my master's in Dutch and English.
All right.
So part of my courses were in English and part were in Dutch.
So how many languages do you speak?
So my first is English, then Dutch. I took Italian lessons. So I took Spanish lessons, but it's getting now a bit rusty, probably because I no longer have the opportunity to speak Spanish, but it's still in me, and very basic, some notions of Arabic. I could not follow conversation, but I can still say figures and polite expressions and that kind of things.
Right. And your mother tongue is French?
And my mother tongue is French, of course.
But living in Belgium, did you speak Flemish?
that's one of the reasons where I took Dutch. Flemish, actually, this is Flemish and Dutch share the same grammar, but of course you have the regional colors of a language, so intonations, accents, different words, different expressions, but grammar is the same. And so that's what I say. I say Dutch, comprising Flemish.
Exactly, because I lived in the Netherlands. So I lived in Utrecht and then Amsterdam.
Oh, so you speak Dutch?
Well, maybe a bit at the time, but I've completely forgotten now. Although I still remember my alsjeblieft and dankjewels and stuff like that. But yeah, it was the hard G up there. And I liked the soft G because the soft G was more in the Maastricht region in the south of the Netherlands. So yeah, I couldn't get my head around that.
Yes, it's a bit. Yes, it's less strong in Belgium. Goedemorgen, we say.
Exactly. Yeah, I preferred that. But anyway, so you also went on the cycling just while we're in the Netherlands. I mean, you did a cycling trip through.
Yes, it was with the Scouts when in my teenage time, camps. From the age of 14, 15 years old, you have the opportunity to move abroad and select a goal for your summer camp. Either it will be to help someone, to volunteer somewhere, or just for leisure and to create a taste of adventure. And that year it was for adventure. And so first the bikes on the train from Belgium up to the border with the Netherlands, and then we cycled up to the north to Den Helder, which is one of the first islands at the top part of the Netherlands.
Yeah, very nice.
Yes, it was.
There it's pretty flat, so yeah, okay.
Yes, but windy.
Yeah, and it can rain. Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, I just want to go back to what you said earlier. I mean, like when you returned back home to Belgium,
Yes.
I mean, leaving friends and family that have maybe lived in the same town or place the whole life and then not experienced or haven't been travelers in the way that they've experienced living abroad. It is very difficult because I had the same. I mean, it's funny enough, it was the same that when I lived in the UK, I grew up in many different places. I mean, originally from Scotland and the northeast of England, then down in Brighton. And then when I finished my school, I went to live in London. And even going back to Brighton and talking to my friend, it was a completely different way of life. I mean, life in London was different. Different in the way that you'd go out to work, and because you normally lived on the outskirts of London, you wouldn't go straight home to go back out again. You'd stay in London. And it was more international at the time. But then when I also went to live in the Netherlands and I went back to the UK to see friends and family, I had so many magical, wonderful stories to share. And people were just talking the same rubbish that they were talking when I lived there with them. And
it's very frustrating.
I'd moved on, and they hadn't. And I found that I started them having better friends with other international people that had the same experiences, because we could resonate with each other and we could feel that you've lived abroad and now we're either living in the same country and sharing similar experiences. So I found then it was easier to mix with other foreigners because we had something in common.
Exactly. And then it was a big change when the years between Morocco and Nigeria, I tried to connect with international communities, but the place where we lived was, everything is relative, but relatively far from where we lived in Brussels. And so, but it was very important for me to stay connected with international community, and until the moment when we moved again abroad and we went to Nigeria. Yeah. And this was a completely different experience. First, on a family level, our eldest stayed in Belgium. She did not come with us. So this was a very first big change. And then, well, the first experience I had from Nigeria in the 90s was completely now different, because years had passed. And imagine what, we lived in the same house in the 90s. The first time I went to Nigeria, and when we came back in 2015, it was the same house. It was the same company, I have to say, but the garden had grown, had grown so much that we hadn't recognized the house. But it was so, nothing comes by chance, it seems.
Exactly. So with the children, I mean, they're all a lot older now. Do they have that desire to travel and to live abroad?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Our daughters, certainly, they moved intensively, especially the second one, in different continents. And yes, the three of them are open to travel.
But you're living now in Luxembourg.
Yes, currently we live in Luxembourg.
Right.
My husband, my husband, when he completed his assignment in Nigeria as finance manager, he was offered different positions. There were different options for us to come back, and we opted for Luxembourg as it was closer to our families.
He works for 𝗙𝗘𝗘𝗏.
He works for he works for
that's the only company I know out of Luxembourg. I mean, people say, the 𝗙𝗘𝗘𝗏 gun, I mean, like for building.
Oh, no.
and I think, oh yeah, they say it's Luxembourg, and I think, right, so
no. It doesn't work. It works for a Belgian company and international.
Right. But now that you're in Luxembourg, I mean, are the kids in Luxembourg as well?
For the time being, but still not for long. We have the three of them are here with us. It's quite exceptional because one studied in Canada and lived there. Another went to South Korea and to Rome. But everyone, they are all with us for the moment. But probably, they are grown up, so things will change. Probably very soon.
So you think you'll stay in Luxembourg, or you've got plans for somewhere else now?
Probably we will have. We wait until our son completes his high school. So he's now in his international baccalaureate in last year, grade 12. So probably next year he will move abroad, and I know it would. I think it will be a turning point in our life too, and it's still unclear where we move after. But probably we won't get retired here.
Yes. So let's just move into kind of more about your work and who you do it for, how you do it. Is it one-to-one? Is it in groups? Is it online? Is it face-to-face? Is it just for women? You kind of steer the story there and let us know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, so I'm doing online and face-to-face. This is so, as every time I moved abroad, I started my business. And so I started first time in Morocco, then I stopped when we left. Then I started a new business in Belgium. And then I decided for mainly for tax reasons. It was a bit complicated to continue from Nigeria. Then I stopped, and then I had missions in Nigeria too. And then when I arrived in Luxembourg after 1 year, I started my business the months before COVID started. So it was a bit very complicated, challenging times for everyone, for me too, on this level. And this is at the moment where I decided to launch my podcast. I thought it was a great opportunity as we were in lockdown, to start my podcast. So yes, I'm doing, it can be online coaching, and it can be face-to-face, and it can be, so it's partly coaching, partly training. So I'm organizing cross-cultural training courses to support people who arrive, newcomers in a new country, to adjust properly in this country. So my courses can be linked to the understanding of a particular culture. Of course, I'm more comfortable to explain cultures where I lived, definitely, but I also organize online trainings for instance, students who went on an internship as a midwife abroad in different countries in Africa. I did 5 or 6 different countries in Africa. So these were short online trainings to help them to adjust quite quickly in their new environment for their internship. But my true goal is to help women to find their true self, so to support their self-awareness, and so they can discover themselves and find their place in a new country. And or you put everything in question, and you see things with a new perspective, and what you can build, how you can discover your true identity when living abroad.
Okay, so it's also a combination of not just settling in and feeling comfortable with the new place and the environment that you live, and the culture and everything else, but it's also helping people identify who they are.
Yes.
And looking at the gifts that they've got inside already that
Exactly.
maybe they're not using because they didn't realize they had them.
Exactly. So, and defining their project. And sometimes you come to a new place with a mission, and in the end you discover so many new things about yourself that you realize that maybe it's not exactly what you'd like to do, and you want to develop something new, which is more in line with who you truly are.
Exactly. And in a way, you can help, like, as a self-discovery, in the way that, I mean, you've traveled around a lot, and you've had that many moments in your life where you've been alone for many hours during the day, mm-hmm. to search and find kind of some of the answers that may be to the questions that you had inside. So you come in with a vast amount of experience, not just someone that has done a 10-week course on how to be a coach.
So certainly, I think every country offers opportunities and challenges. And in Nigeria, and supports, if you don't know it when you arrive, you don't come to a particular place by chance. There must be a reason, something special you need to learn on that place. This is my belief. And so in Nigeria, I realized that the spiritual development was quite important for me. I was, for instance, when you ask me what I did not explain for Nigeria. I did, for instance, I was part of a book group where we discussed literature, African literature, either with books written by out of African writers, or by African writers. And we discussed, we analyzed the book, and we discussed different topics. So exciting. And I was also part of a Bible study group. with people. Well, we were mostly Christians, but no matter if we were Protestant or Catholic or Orthodox, it did not matter. It was the fact to connect and to understand elements of the Bible. So I took part of this. So it was part also of my spiritual development, definitely.
Excellent.
And, yes.
I love it. And yeah, lots of people find a different way to have their spiritual connections. So I'm not going to keep you too much longer, but there are a couple of things that I still need to talk about before I forget. So you mentioned, I'm going to mention them now, and you can tell me in what order. So you do a podcast, so you have your own podcast. You're writing your own book, right? Mm-hmm. And that's going to launch soon. So tell us about that. And the question that I keep meaning to ask, which I keep forgetting, but I'm going to ask it now, is you said at the beginning that you, as a kid, when you grew up, what you wanted to be was like this tour guide with a microphone on the bus, and you're telling people about the places of interest as that tour guide, right? Mm-hmm. Did you ever do that when in any of the countries that you lived in?
Not really, in fact, not really, though I did it very recently in Luxembourg, because I recently gave cross-cultural training for Luxembourg for newcomers. And so I had to explore Luxembourgish history. And so I visited the place, and I was the tour guide for one of my Italian friends very recently. I did it in Morocco too, by the way, with other friends too, so to visit Hassan II Mosque in Casablanca. And yes, so it seems that I quite enjoy this activity, but as a hobby.
Yeah. So just before you answer the other two questions, yeah, when I lived in London, I used to have lots of friends like come to see me, and they all want to show me around London. And I said, right, we're going to do it on foot. Right. So I would show them, I create my own tour, and I'd show them all the places, the shortcuts and whatever. And it was great fun. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, and you can add some humor to it as well. But also when I lived in Amsterdam, we had international clients that would come over, and they always wanted a night out in Amsterdam. Right. And if they're your client, that you have to entertain them or find someone that will. Right. So yeah, I used to have to take them out and show them around Amsterdam. So I give them a list of places that they'd want to see, like museums and things. And they'd always say, no, we want to see the red light area, the coffee shops, and kind of all of these things. So it was funny because you can add a lot of humor to that and make it very entertaining. So yeah, it is actually great fun being kind of a tour guide. But when you're doing it for fun rather than maybe a job, then yeah, it still maintains that fun element.
Yes, exactly. And I think I take it as some sort of responsibility too, as if I host, because we hosted friends and mostly friends when we lived abroad and still here, and it's nice to show them around and with some pride to explain where we live. And well,
so tell me about your podcast, and then we'll conclude kind of with the book.
Yeah, my podcast is called Women Abroad, and I thought it would be a great idea to showcase some women from everywhere in the world, so they can explain and share their experience of living or working abroad. Women from different ages, mostly early career women, because sometimes we hear very famous people, and I think their voice is important, because most of them, they have very interesting things to share, things that we can take as lessons, things that can inspire others who would consider but still hesitate to take the leap to move abroad. And that's how the initiative came. And I interviewed them, mostly in English, sometimes in French. It depends, but mostly in English. So their mother tongue is most of the time not English, as it is the case for me. So I think it's quite spontaneous conversation, a bit the same way as we built it here. So I sent them a list of general questions, and we have a first conversation, a chat online to be sure that they are what they want to talk about. And then I customize the questions, and some need to get the questions ahead. Others say, I'm free, you can go. So it really depends. And so for me, it's also a cultural adjustment every time, because they have their own speech, their own way of expressing themselves, their own verbal and non-verbal communication, intonation, accent. And so you have behaviors, and so it's very interesting on the cultural point of view too. And these are always beautiful encounters, beautiful women. And I want.
It's only. Sorry to interrupt. It's only women.
Yes. As the podcast mentions, it's only women. I want to spread their word, and because they have, most of them, they are very gifted women, and it's nice. Sometimes they don't dare to express themselves, and they are quite. Some feel honored to be on the talk.
Yeah, I like humor. So someone said to me, "What's it like living abroad?" And I said, "Well, I only wear a dress on a Sunday." So if I do it on Sunday, then I can be on your show.
Yeah, yes.
I'm joking. Right.
Yes, so, you are not the first man asking me when do you interview me. So I may consider. Probably I'll put it on hold for a few months, because I really want to give a big kick to the writing of my book.
So how do you find your guests?
Sometimes on LinkedIn, and most of the time from a word of mouth. And I try, as I live in Luxembourg, as the international community is very big and growing year after year, I could find many women here in Luxembourg. Some were in my choir, others come from other circles I know. And but I don't want to only talk about Luxembourg. So I focus on the country and the woman, her perspective on the country. So it's cultural and based on her own development as a woman. So there is a cultural part in it, and then her own development as a woman, as a professional in a foreign country.
Yeah, when I do my podcast, I try to balance it between men and women. But it started off pretty much like that. But then I guess the last 10 guests have been women. Right? So I do have a man coming up soon. But I don't know. It just seems to be more women that seem to be drawn to be more open to want to come on and do a podcast.
I don't know exactly, but I know that if men could certainly do it very well too.
Yeah,
but as it's called Women Abroad.
Yeah. I'm happy to do the women. You do the men. So we'll switch. You could do it together.
Right? Yes, we could do one interview together. Yes, that would be great. Yes, why not?
Yeah, I did just digressing a bit, I did a panel discussion because I had a guest that talked about dreams and what do dreams mean. And that fascinates me a lot, right? Particularly as a kid, I had lots of vivid dreams. So I found a panel of 4 different experts in dreams, 4 different areas. One was lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming, I didn't know what that was, right? It's when you can be aware that you're actually having a dream. So you wake yourself up in the dream. right?
It must have been very insightful.
Oh yeah, it's a 2-hour special, right? So that was him, a guy called Robert Wagner. Then I had 3 others. One was a dream decipherer that tells you what dreams mean. Another one was a more of a spirituality dreamer in the way that what does the spiritual dream mean? And another one was more the indigenous dreaming.
Wow, indigenous.
Excellent. Went on for 2 hours.
And so the messages they get from the universe.
Yeah, I tell you, that was an eye-opener. It's all recorded. You can go and check it out.
Yes, what number?
No, it's not a number because this was a special, but you'll see it. I'll share
the
link. Right. Anyway, we just need to conclude. So just on the last thing, your book.
Yes, so I'm writing a book which is a 7-step transformation book, but also giving some practical tips to trigger awareness, a road guide that takes women who live and work abroad to a transformative journey in 7 steps. So starting from their roots to the exploration of their identity in search for their life purpose. And
you have a name for the book?
Not yet.
Right.
Not yet.
And when's it going to be ready?
I wish it was ready end of this winter. Yes, early spring 2024. I wish.
You
this
publishing
spring.
yourself, or you've got a publisher?
No, I'm publishing with Paul Smith Publishing.
The same.
Yes, Paul Smith Publishing in London. Yes.
Yes. I didn't see you in the.
We met in Lausanne. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember that, but I didn't realize that you were part of his book group.
Yes, I am. He called me on LinkedIn. He sent me a message asking if I wanted to write a book, and I was busy writing a book, but in French. I started the writing in French. Okay. I had a coach who supported me for a few sessions, and then I was on my own for a few months already. And then he contacted me, and so I translated the whole bulk into English without any modification of the text. And then and now I'm on the editing.
All right. Part of the book. We're doing our first book as well with 11 previous guests.
Yes, it's soon to be published, as I said.
Well, we hope to have it ready for Christmas.
Oh.
And everybody's kind of polishing it up now on our final draft revisions, right? And then we need to get a move on because I want it ready for Christmas.
So it was, yes, you're busy now. Have you found the title for your book?
Oh yeah, we have the title. I was talking, funny enough, I was just talking to Paul, and I was saying, he was saying, tell me about the book, what you want the book to be, and all of this. And in the conversation, I was saying, well, it's all about people sharing their stories and about the essence of being human. And then I carried on talking, and he said, that's the title. I said, what? And he said, you said it, the essence of being human.
Yeah, it's excellent.
So that's the title. Right?
Excellent.
Working on the subtitle now.
Yeah, super. Yes,
I'm writing another one, my own this time. It's called...
On your own, so you...
this one's called... No, on my own, but I use Paul again. But it's called The Universe Within Your Mind.
All a program.
This one will be a deep one. But...
Yes. Actually, I already have a cross-cultural training program, a development program for women, but the book, I want my program also to reflect different chapters of my book. So it will be the basis for more public speaking, I would like to give conferences, more seminars, organize new workshops. And actually, for women who are ready for this journey, I think my book invites them to discover themselves and become more aware of the world around them and the place they want to take in it. And because I believe that beyond cultural differences, they have the potential to leverage more harmony, unity, and peace.
Yeah.
And because to acknowledge the universal in all of us. And I think that it's important to see the good in the different cultures we meet. If we only refrain ourselves from connecting with others because of these differences and because of the weak aspects of each culture, nothing can be done. Yeah, so this was one of my philosophy when I live abroad, is I try, but hopefully we grow wiser when growing old. I try to take the best in each country I've lived so far, and letting go the other aspects that I cannot accept. And it's it's a development journey. It's not easy every day, but
no, I know. I mean, yeah, I love having guests from all over the world. I've had them from many, many different countries and different time zones and with different stories, and the more diverse, the better. As long as it resonates with me and it's something that I want to hear, then, yeah, I kind of selfish in the way that it's a story I want to hear. If other people want to hear the story, that's great, but I want to hear the story, right? So I'm doing it for me, really, but if the audience want to hear it, then that's a bonus.
Yes.
So super. Anyway, so
thank you for sharing.
We keep in touch anyway through the Publishing Mastery.
Yes.
And then I will share the recording and put it in there as well for the other authors.
Merci. Thank you.
And then this recording will go on YouTube and Spotify for the audio.
Okay.
So once I've edited it and whatever, then I'll send you the links and everything.
Do you keep the video? No, probably not.
So, yeah, I keep the video.
Yes, but I mean, it's an audio on YouTube. It's an audio.
No, YouTube is the video.
It's a video, yes.
And Spotify is the audio.
Yes.
So, but I keep the MP4 if you want to use that as well, or you can just take the link from YouTube.
Okay.
So anyway, before we go, you've had an exciting journey, right? So, I mean, I know we could touch on any of these topics that you brought up for hours, and particularly some of the countries that you've lived in, and particularly with some of them, with some of the disasters that's happening there at the moment, yes, which is terrible. So, but as a closing message, do you have any advice or a closing comment or suggestion or something that you want to share with us?
For people, believe in yourself. Trust that we can learn from each other, and there is more to learn from stretching your inner boundaries. This is an important message. But also for women who'd like to get interviewed by me, you can contact me. And I think that's about what I meant to say.
I just thought the title of your book.
Yes.
Yeah, The Inner Boundaries.
That's great. That's a great title.
You said it.
Yes, I said it. I said it. yes, right.
Sometimes you say something and you think,
yes, that could be a great title.
Either your inner boundaries or just inner boundaries or
yes, there is much more to learn from.
But it is.
There is a lot to learn from other cultures, and yes, the inner boundaries. Yes.
Yeah, write it down before you forget. Because
yes, I write. I thank you for the idea.
Well, I got that from Paul. I mean, I was saying something to him and he wrote it down. And I think when someone says something profound, yeah, I get them to write it down because you forget at the end.
I want something quite universal and quite. It's going in the way to spirituality, probably. So it's not a typical practical guide for women traveling around because many things have already been said. So I want something more like a transformative journey.
But I think that is very important because it's not just about traveling and seeing different cultures and languages and food and stuff.
Exactly.
Right? It is that inner journey that you're going on at the same time. And yeah, if you can share that part, that makes it different.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bit that's missing. Yeah.
Yes, I believe so. I want to give another dimension. So become who you need to be, who you truly are, and the journey abroad can teach you this.
Become who you're meant to be.
You're meant to be. Become who you're meant to be. This is the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That could be another book.
Yeah, it could be.
All right.
Let me write it down.
So, Tiaro, do you have any questions?
Not really. I feel like I missed out a bit. But did I hear you say, are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah, I think I just picked up now when you were saying become who you want to be. What did you say after that? You said something that it kind of struck a chord, but now I don't remember what it was. Yeah, but yeah, become who you want to be. I think that's pretty powerful. Like a journey to discovering yourself. I think like James was saying.
Yes.
Like find out who you are. Well, I think you said something like how I interpret it is when you're traveling, you get to find who you are.
Exactly.
Maybe you get to find your purpose when you're
you're
exploring other cultures.
Living abroad can help you find who you truly are because you are put in such a different environment that you question everything, you question your identity, and sometimes you can discover who you truly are out of the beaten tracks of your education and your comfort zone, should I say?
Okay. Yeah, that's powerful. Oh, so what you do is you're sort of like guiding, like focusing on women, and sort of like being a guide when they want to like travel as what's the word? Like traveling from one country to the other and not settling in.
Yes, an expatriate, or they can be different status. Actually, you could be a volunteer. Well, there are different position status, yes. But I came there because we moved abroad. First, it was ignited by my husband's assignments abroad in the corporate world. So he had positions, he had a job in one of the sister company abroad, office company.
Yeah, it's a dream that I had, but I kind of like put it on the back burner. You know, when you're traveling, you need money for it. And I know there's people who do it where they are offered like rental and maybe food. They're covered for food, but then they get to volunteer and like travel from one country to another. I'm not sure that's how I want it, but yeah, I think traveling is something that I plan on doing. when I have the means to do it. So yeah, I think it's good that I'm in contact with you. When I need to, I'll just give you a call.
Yes, thank you. Yes, definitely do.
Yeah.
definitely.
Where do you live?
South Africa. I'm in South Africa.
Any particular place?
Johannesburg.
All right, okay.
That's the city, yeah.
I went to Johannesburg a few years ago. We have friends over there. We went to
Oh,
Nigeria.
really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've had many guests actually from South Africa, from Cape Town, Johannesburg, from Durban, and other places. Anyway, so we're just going to wrap this up now, unless there's any other questions. Any other questions? Right.
No,
Okay. So, Francois, you've been a fantastic guest.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you,
139.
James, for having me.
139 numbers mean anything to you?
Number 1, yes. Number 3, it's symbolically, I know what it means. The number 9, to be honest, I don't know. Maybe I should sum them up. It would make 13.
Normally you add them up and go back to the any number under 10. So 1 and 3 is 4. All right, 4 and 9 is 13. 1 and
Yes.
so 1 and 3 is 4. So 4.
4.
Right. But as you said it the other way, 1 is the ultimate.
Ultimate.
Right. 3 is a trinity.
And
And
4 is
9.
in incarnation. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And 9 is magical also.
Yes. So, this positive. Anyway, I will keep this figure in mind. That's a very good moment I spent with you. Thank you for the spontaneity of the conversation and your questions. It's I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. And I hope my questionnaire maybe helps you with your questionnaire for your clients.
Yes, but probably I had something more to say, but I do not recall what I wrote yesterday. So I did not keep in mind. Probably there was something else, but I said the most important, I think. I believe.
You said the most important. It's a beautiful, magical story. So I wish you great success in your business, also your podcast and your book. And when you get the book, then you can let me know, and then I will advertise that for you as well.
We could have a special, you share your book, I share mine, and you invite different people of your book, because you were 13 in your book. How many were you?
Yeah, I mean, it varies. I mean, we started off with 15, and I think we'll end up with 11 or so.
Okay, so 11. This is 11 writers, 11 authors, each one with chapters.
Yes.
Deals with their chapter. This is good. It's quite a big work.
Yeah, I mean, we could do lots of different podcasts about this, about your book, about our book, about many different things.
Plenty more things to do. Well, we could cooperate. Yes, that would be great. Yes, my pleasure.
Okay, then. So thank you once again, and have a great weekend, both of you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much, James. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was another Featured Business brought to you by Visibility Impact. If you'd like to be our next featured guest or learn how James Mofat can help you leverage on the art and power of interactive storytelling for your business, reach out and schedule a call now.